Hi everyone and welcome to Isami Rat Care. So today's video is a continuation of the socialization stream. So this one is all going to focus on out of cage activity. But one of the more challenging things to do when you're dealing with a scared rat and want to bring them out of the cage is actually getting them out. So we're going to get out Burko. Burko is better than he was, but he is still somewhat shy, hand shy. So I'll see if I can get into the thing. Again, like last time, the first thing I do is make sure they know that I'm there, and that's why I'm doing the tapping. That's attracting attention, and then again it's offering the kind of outside of my hand. I've been bitten a few times, not by my own rats thankfully, but around there from offering that part of my hand first. And you do it because it's non-threatening, as opposed to doing it because it's necessarily going to protect your hand. But you can see Burko is interested, but there's no way in hell that he particularly wants me to pick him up. So we're going to resort to bribery. In an ideal world, you'd tempt them out of the cage and they just want to come. Burko is not at that stage, but he will do anything for a banana chip. See, that wasn't that bad. And actually, the fact he'll now eat it on me shows that we've had a bit of improvement over the past 2 weeks. When I first got him here, he would not eat outside the cage. Absolutely wouldn't. So he's feeling a lot happier and more content now. So this is the first thing that I do as kind of out of cage socialization. So now he's out. I should say, if you're going to have more problems picking him up, you'll notice in like my first video when I go for him really quickly. That's what I do in a case where I've got somebody. In fact, let's move. Yeah, this is what I do when I've got a rat that is really scared. Now Burko's moved on a bit from that. I can get him to the front and then I can get him out with a bit of bribery. If there's no way in hell that he was going to do that, I would grab him really quickly. And I do that even though it seems quite violent and scary. It's a lot less stressful than chasing them around the cage. If you can move fast and just get it over with, it's a lot easier for them. Right, so now we've actually got him out of the cage, the next step is to spend a bit of time with him. And there's numerous ways you can do this. So one of the first, easiest ways to do is find a seat, something that's not too big. You do not want to free range a nervous rat. Not for a long while, not until they kind of trust you and are easy to pick up, because you could lose them. And when you lose them behind something, it's generally very stressful and scary. And it sets them back away as well. So what I'm doing with Burko here is just basically spending time with him, and there's lots of kind of hands-on contact. That's all about, again, familiarising him with my hands, making him kind of used to them, see that they actually can bring pleasure as well as being scary big monsters, aren't they, Mr. Burko? And you can see actually this video versus my first video with him, just how much more relaxed he was. And I will say a good deal of that is Tato. So another thing that you can do as part of your out of cage bonding, some people use bonding bags. In fact, I have an example. So these are just basically fleece bags or similar that you have round your neck, and then you put in a rat. Hey Burko. And they feel nice and safe in here, and you can basically carry them around. These are quite a good kind of system if you've got small children that might struggle to get your hands around it, as well as kind of scared rats. But in theory, with him in here, he feels quite safe and protected. I can kind of wander around, do stuff, have him there and have a hand draped in. And my hand will then become kind of familiar, comfortable, etc. And it's kind of like a form of bonding that's quite secure, because if I go somewhere where I can't have him escape, all I have to do is pinch shut this. To be fair, I use this mostly for babies when I'm trying to transport them from like the top of the cage right down to the free range area, but it works perfectly well for Burkos as well. Another option, if you don't have a bonding bag, though I will recommend them, this one is from Cozy Beds and Burrows, and actually I've not found one that I like more than this. I just really like the kind of bucket design, but there are different kind of models depending what suits you. So another option is the good old down your top. Now, another way of doing this is, I'm just using the white jumper I've got in here. Some people put on a dressing gown. That can work quite well. It's nice and cosy and safe. They're very close to you and they're basically surrounded by your smell, and it's a great way of familiarising them with your kind of being around you and letting them feel safe, and it'll teach them this kind of safety with you. Hello mister, are you enjoying that? I don't tend to do a lot of this personally because I like my rats to kind of get used to being out in the open, but quite often if I did do it for any length of time, they would fall asleep down there. I'd probably get a kind of slightly damp patches from the pee, but that is part of the game, isn't it, Mr. Burko? He's like slowly getting lower and lower. I now have a pregnant Burko belly. But yes, so this kind of thing, it's a great opportunity for them to feel safe. Again, I can wander around with him like this. I've just got to make sure that I keep a hand so he doesn't fall too far down. And some rats really, really like that. It really kind of makes them feel safe. It really helps. And it's a good tool. Other thing is just having them on you like I had before, having them out in the open. Not letting them hide too much, but letting them have a good explore. But the thing I'm doing here is I don't want him running off somewhere, and there are places that you can get down in here, so I'm just keeping him on me, but I'm doing it in a way that's like non-stressful. So I'm not like grabbing him and you will stay here. I'm letting him move, and then I'm just kind of like taking him back again. He's like, but I tried to get down there. Ways we can improve this. I could add Tato in fact, let's grab her. She looks bored up there. Hey Tates. AKA Burko's bonding buddy. Again, this changes their dynamics. We've now got a nice confident rat. You can see immediately Burko is slightly calmer, and he does like his lady friend. The problem with this in some ways is Tato knows this rat room really well. She's perfectly capable of escaping and going who knows where. But having her here does change the dynamics, and if I was in an ideal world, I'd probably take them in the house and sit on a kind of chair because I knew they couldn't get very far. And then them being together, and you can see straight away he's like looking for her for a bit of guidance, and he's exploring places he probably wouldn't have done anyway because he's got Tato there to give him confidence. Now you're off. Yes, I can see you, mister. So you can see this works quite well, and you spend a lot of time, and again you're very much kind of having your hands on him. Thank you, Tato, I love you too. Having your hands on him, trying to find out what he likes. So I'll interact with him sometimes, I'll interact with somebody else. I give him time between, and that's quite important. I don't want him to get overwhelmed too much, and one of the things that you really need to watch with any form of socialisation is when a rat kind of zones out, and you'll be able to tell because they're suddenly kind of frozen. They don't interact with anything, they don't make eye contact, they kind of shut down, hunch up and get kind of frozen, and that's called flooding, and it's something that you do not want. It's something in every stage of kind of socialisation you want to avoid, because a flooded rat is a rat that can't learn, it can't think, it's not gaining anything from the experience, it's just not really presently there. So you need to give them enough space that they can move out of that zone and become rats and think and question and learn. So you can see Burko is very much not flooded, he's learning to escape already, aren't you, Mr. Fluffy Butt? But yes, so this is quite good, he's quite natural behaviour. Right, so I'm going to show you another method which is probably easiest without Tato, because Tato knows how to escape. Go on, miss. Right, so I'm going to have to mess around with the camera a little bit for this. You hop on my shoulder, mister. So this one is a technique I tend to use quite early on in kind of socialising. So I've done it when I've gone to somebody's house and they've handed me a couple of antisocial rescues, and it's actually the first thing that I did with Burko. So what it is basically walking with them, kind of call it the kind of walking method. And what I'm doing with this, and I apologise if I go a bit quiet here, but the kind of thing that's necessary in this is to keep moving around and not to go too near anything. So what that does is it basically means that the rat is slightly unsettled, it can't escape to go anywhere. It knows that there's stuff around it, but we're constantly moving, so it has to hold on to feel safe. And what we're doing here is basically telling the rat that I'm your safety here, I'm the thing that's safe and that's comfortable, and you're not going to fall from, so keep with me, stay with me, and just kind of learn to trust me. And again, like any other contact that I've got with Berko, I'm very hands-on, I'm stroking him. That isn't actually just for his benefit. I'm actually, when you feel a rat, you can feel the tension in the body. So I'm feeling for how relaxed he's feeling, if he's enjoying it, if he's reacting to it. You can see he's actually is relatively relaxed right now. When I first did this with him, he was constantly tense. So whenever I held him, however I held him, whatever I did, he always had this kind of clenched up feeling about him. Now he's a lot more relaxed. I think he actually enjoys some of it, and he's just kind of going with it. What I'll do with this is, I kind of use this, like I say, fairly early on. So it's to just kind of build that level of trust and to move them past thinking that humans are all kind of scary and bad. Because if you can keep this up for a period of time, and again, like with the in-cage method, I do 20-30 minutes. But if you can keep it up for long enough, the rats move past the period. They can only hold the tension and the fear for so long, and they can move past it and then start to kind of interact and enjoy things a lot more. So it's kind of, it's a fairly kind of slightly pushy method, as in he doesn't really have a whole lot of choice in here. But one thing that I am doing is trying to read from him if I do go too far. Again, looking for that flooding, looking for him being like too tense, looking for him starting to panic, which he very much isn't doing. And actually, even on the first time I did this, he wasn't panicking. He was a lot more, there was a lot more movement, and there's a lot more kind of exploration to see where he could get away from the situation. And there was also a lot more interested in my girl's cage. He tried to jump on there a couple times. But by keeping moving, then he doesn't kind of get too much of a bearing on anything he can leap for. And instead he just kind of settles and enjoys the experience, don't you, mister? What I am doing with this as well, as much when I'm like touching him, I'm also trying to find things that he likes to do with touch. And I have once managed to get him on his shoulder, yeah, and get a few kisses out. You were very surprised the first time you licked me, weren't you? A lot of rats have what I would call a buck spot. To be fair, does have it too. But it's just around their shoulders. They really appreciate shoulder scratches, and that's because it's a place that they can't naturally groom very much. So if you can scratch in the right way, they quite often kind of melt. And Berko does like it. He's just not sure that I should be the person giving it to him. He'd far rather Tato was doing that for him. But yes, he's getting a lot more used to it. So this is one of the ways of doing it, and I found this can work really dramatically. I remember a pair of rescue babies that a friend had taken in, where they hadn't actually ever really chosen to be around people. They were a bit curious, a bit like Berko, but they were really, really hand shy, very, very scared, hated being picked up, would kind of scream. And I just did this for, must have been about 20-30 minutes, and by the end they were kind of boggling and bruxing and completely relaxed in my arms. And then put them back, and it took a couple more tries, more sessions like that, but they were significantly happier. They went on to be some kids' pets, and it really worked out. But that's the thing, it needs this kind of regular sessions, and I mix up in-cage sessions, I mix up out-of-the-cage sessions. Like I said before, I'll let the rat choose some of the interactions, then I'll choose some of the interactions. I may even let them into my jumper. But it's all about kind of trying these different things, trying to get a read from the rat and spending time with it. Don't just do one thing. I see some people who kind of always let the rat do the choosing, so they will not pick up the rat if it doesn't choose to be picked up, and so on. And whilst that can work with some rats, with other rats they will never make that first step. And I see other people immediately go straight in, grab them, you will be my friend, you will sit on my knee. And again, in some cases it can work. With other rats it completely turn them off. So the key thing is kind of balance and work with the rat. You notice when I'm kind of around him, I am letting him make a certain amount of choices here, whether he wants to be in my jumper, whether he wants to be out of my jumper, whether he wants to be on my, oh, because you lost my jumper hole now, whether he wants to be on my shoulder, whether he wants to go on that side or this side. And the only thing that's constant is I'm here, and we're learning to get used to me, aren't we, mister? And again, I could do the same thing with a bonding pouch. Hey, what's down here? And again, I can do the kind of walking around, keep a hand in there so he knows that I'm around, and see what he chooses. So very much to kind of play it by ear, judge it off the rats and see how you get on. Hopefully these will help. And if you've got any other ideas, feel free to share them. It'd be quite interesting to see some. It might be, again, if I get a lot of other ideas, that I put together another video and actually cover some of them. If you've got little clips of video, let me know. But yes, so this is probably over and out from me and Berko and his cute little tub. And we shall see you soon. Bye for now.